Eskom wants South Africa with solar system to pay for electricity despite whether using electricity or not. I mean, this is a very devious story just to uncover by Eskom because of how can you force people to actually pay for electricity even though they're not using you power from the grid, they're using solar power electricity. I mean, some companies are actually thinking of buying. I'm for one thinking of buying Tesla solar batteries that to use at my home because of my parents are not working and they're earning SASA money, they're earning grants. Why don't I buy the battery? Why don't I buy solar power systems, put them on top of them to use for water and general stuff, electricity? But why is still Eskom wants us to actually still pay for electricity even though we're using our own? I mean, it's a very ungodly situation or proposed by Eskom because if I'm running on solar power systems, I'm supposed to actually save money. Why is Eskom forcing me to actually pay even though I'm disconnected from the grid itself? Why does Eskom want me to pay? Eskom presented its new plans for electricity tariffs to the National Energy Regulations of South Africa on Tuesday, outlining the new electricity charge it wants to implement. The power utility retail tariffs propose significant changes for electricity users across South Africa, with specified measures implemented to prevent the loss of revenue from South Africa using solar panels to generate their own electricity. It's not our business, or it's not their business for Eskom to lose money, even though their business plan is designed from people paying electricity and one of the competitors of that, or the threat of that business of Eskom, is people using their own generators and creating their own electricity. I mean, first of all, we're having a huge problem with Eskom. Eskom is actually, from the government side, this is my view, Eskom is actually getting money from international companies like China, CIC, Corporation of Independent of China, Investment of China, and other donators as well to actually build build energy coal power stations in South Africa using coal, using water, and using other things. Coal distribution and coal manufacturer or coal distributors or logistics, whose company is that? You might find it's one of the members of the parliament, if it was, to transport coal to Eskom power plants. Why does Eskom doesn't use solar powers themselves instead of forcing people who generating electricity for themselves and charging them, even though that billing system it's not transparent to everyone else? I mean, you pay for electricity, your bill comes at 500 rands this month. 2 months later, your bill is at 3,000 rands. The next month, your bill is at 6,000 rands. The next thing, your bill is at 400 rands. Why is there no transparency? How do you expect people to actually pay money? Now, look at, even though you are on prepaid electricity. Prepaid electricity is affected by water bill. So if you don't pay for your water, you won't actually get to recharge for your electricity because you didn't pay for your water. So your water actually will block the transaction of your units, the power units that you prepaid electricity. One of Eskom proposed measures in the split of energy tariffs into fixed and variable cost, which will make Eskom more attractive when compared to alternative energy sources like solar power. That's the problem with that. Around all these power plants, there are big fields. Why is Eskom not actually going into renewable energy instead of forcing people to actually pay for electricity? Eskom, why are you forcing people who created their own electricity to still pay for electricity? I mean, if my building, or if I buy a plot in the middle of nowhere and decide to buy big solar powers and big batteries to actually power my house, why do I still have to? Or if I disconnect from the grid, why do I still have to pay for that? Why is it like that, Eskom? I mean, the story of Eskom, look at all the tender deals have given out by Eskom to businesses, people who have seriously conflicts to the tenders or the operations of Eskom. And still you want us to actually pay. The transparency of Eskom, it's not even transparent itself. It's not. No No user of any home in South Africa can actually track how much they're using electricity. This month is 500. The next month it's 1,000 rand. I mean, last year in June, during a heavily storm of pandemic, City of Tshwane had just increased the electricity tariffs, not for only residential, and also heavily for commercial. I mean, rents now, currently now, office rental has increased because of electricity tariffs. Owners of buildings who actually rent out business office spaces to tenants have to increase. They have to increase their rental spaces because of electricity tariffs. Unexplained why they're increasing it. Has proposed that South Africa are charged to split tariffs, comparing a volumetric energy usage charge at the fixed daily network charge, which is independent of usage. This will lead to a solar power usage paying for more than as they would need to pay daily fixed costs to Eskom to be connected to the grid, even if they're using their own power. Solar power hurting Eskom. It is a presentation to Eskom by Eskom cited the problem caused by South Africans who are generating their own electricity using solar powers at home. South Africans who use solar power system generating most of the electricity during the day, which Eskom argues forced to ramp up at a fast rate to meet evening demands. It has a significant negative effect to the power system. This is the waste by Eskom. Eskom has also reiterated that its current tariffs do not reflect the cost required to run a national grid and supply customers with power. Eskom, how are you? I don't understand your argument to say people who generate their own electricity have a great impact to your income. I mean, if we get half of the city buildings off grid, now it's less to power those buildings with electricity. Now, in another way, Eskom is saving money. Now it has more power to actually run South Africa on a daily basis. Eskom currently now, I don't understand Eskom. Please explain this to me. Currently now, you don't have enough capacity to actually give power to everyone else. You end up cutting our electricity twice in a day, once in a week, not for 30 minutes, for 2 hours minimum. But still, you want people who are generating their own electricity to still be plugged on the grid that cannot even supply electricity to those who are connected to the grid. Why is the power hungry for money instead of power hungry to supply enough and advise people to actually disconnect from the grid by using solar power panels? Why are you not arguing that? Why is your argument based on finance and profitability, whilst you know you're not actually good in terms of making sure that the funds you make from people's rents are not even constructive? I don't understand. Look at how many bills, look at how many scandals that Eskom has, and still Eskom wants us to actually pay for electricity. Half of Soweto people are not actually paying for electricity. They want to be billed less because they see what's actually happening to the funds they pay and being loyal to paying electricity. A lot of cities, Kasi, are not actually paying electricity, even though they have breached connections, because they see, if I am honest, my neighbor is not honest. My neighbor still my neighbor still gets electricity. I'm the one who's actually paying monthly, and still transparency within the financial bills of Eskom, it's not even consistent. This month you pay 500 rand, the next month it's 1,000, the other month 6,000, the other month it's 900 rand. Why am I not billed based on the usage of electricity? Still, even though I use prepaid electricity is going to be blocked by water usage. If I don't pay for water, or if I'm in areas, my prepaid electricity charge is going to be blocked by my water usage.